Have the Virginia Tech Hokies found a new identity under interim head coach Philip Montgomery?
Who in the ACC is good enough to make it to the college football playoff?
And how does the AP Top 25 look after a huge Week 5 slate?
All of that and more on this week's edition of the 3304 Kickoff Show. Welcome into the Center for the Arts, and we have a jam-packed show for you. I'm Pearce Mcknight, joined alongside Taylor Bretl. Now, Taylor, the Hokies were down in Raleigh. I saw you were there. Did you have a good time?
Oh, I had a great time, Pierce. It's always a good time when it ends with the win. Virginia Tech, 10-point underdogs against this NC State team. They go into Raleigh, into Carter Finley Stadium, and they get the win 23-21. And head coach Philip Montgomery, he's looking like he's filling those shoes pretty well.
It was an electric environment. Now we got to head into the highlights to show you truly how electric it was.
Virginia Tech started out in this game up 3-0 after Mr. Automatic John Love buries one for the Hokies. It's the exact start, Pierce, that you needed to a game like this. But not so fast. You got NC State on the other end. Look at that catch for the Wolfpack, getting them down inside the 5.
He got mossed, Taylor.
What a catch. Let's look at that one more time. Up over the head and brings it down beautifully. On 2nd and goal, wide open in the end zone, the Wolfpack respond right away, taking a 7-3 lead.
He was wide open. I don't know what kind of coverage they were, but they looked like lost.
And the Hokies take it right back on offense, say, anything you can do, I can do better. Easy, wide open, Hawkins, right side of the field. Hokies take the lead right back. This is truly a back-and-forth game, Pierce. And right before halftime, Hokies add on 3 more points for Mr. Automatic. Once more, John Love. Going into the half with a 6-point lead as the underdog going into this one was huge momentum for Virginia Tech.
They had to jump out early.
And NC State, starting the 3rd quarter, knew they had to jump out early, and they take that lead right back. A beautiful pass from Bailey to the right side of the end zone, and NC State takes a 14-13 lead. But the biggest play of the game, look at the transfer go. Terry on Stort, 50, stiff arm a man, 40, 30, 25, 20, all the way down inside to the 5 in the red zone. That was the turning point in this one.
He looked like an absolute bowling ball, knocking down everything in his path.
And Kyron Jones on the very next play, wide receiver screen. Selden gets that one with ease. It's a back and forth game. That touchdown gives the Hokies a 6-point lead. But not so fast once more. C.J. Bailey laces one across the middle of the field to start the 4th quarter, and the Wolfpack get inside the red zone. They follow that up quickly with a halfback dive and squeak that one in. Officials did have to review it, but another lead taken back for NC State.
He did not stop fighting. He pushed and pushed until he got into that end zone.
And we got to show an extra point because that is what gave them the lead. And it's 21-20 for NC State, but there's still a lot of game to play. John Love responds 44 yards down the middle. But wait just 1 second. What is that? Oh, there it is. It is the yellow deadly flag, something you don't want to see when you attempt a 44-yarder. But hey, it's John Love. Delay a game on him. He knows that's on him. He kicks it from 49 and absolutely nails it to give Virginia Tech the lead.
He's automatic from everywhere on the field. He's an absolute dog.
And on 4th down for NC State, last hope, no sir. Hokies escape Raleigh in a back-and-forth battle, and Ellis is fired up. Another transfer for this Virginia Tech team that was making tons of noise on the field for the Hokies.
Virginia Tech showed it all. New faces, new plays, new energy. They showed it all in Raleigh, and they got the win Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge one for Virginia Tech. And like you said, with many new faces on this Hokies squad, let's take a look into the names that made a huge impact in that win over the Wolfpack. With more on that, here's our very own Cole Jackson-Page. Cole?
After Brent Price firing, the Hokies had some roster turnover with their players eligible to hit the transfer portal or sit out and retain their eligibility. Following some of the decisions, defensive lineman and captain Kevin Gilliam had some words for the team, looking for players who want to step up and play for the Hokies after the coaching change. With Philip Montgomery now in charge, he had to look for other players to step up in new roles. The win versus NC State showcased a ton of new names that we haven't heard much of previously. Let's take a look at the biggest names for the Hokies this past Saturday. First, we have to talk about the silencer, Christian Ellis. The former New Mexico Lobo safety had a key pass breakup this past weekend. one to break up a touchdown, and of course the game-winning pass deflection on 4th down to clinch the game for the Hokies. After a slow start, he's finding his groove, notching the most snaps he had all season this game. We talked about the star on the defensive side. Now let's go to the offensive side. That was running back Terrion Stewart. The Bowling Green transfer who was working his way back from injury had his name called 15 times. The bully was running through opponents with ease for 174 yards, including one run had him bowling through multiple players on his way to an 85-yard run. That then set up a touchdown for this next player. Cameron Seldon, another running back, or I should say former running back, the junior transfer from Tennessee came in as a running back, but the coaching staff saw a path for him to be a receiver with his 6'1" frame. The transfer caught 5 passes and led the team in receiving yards. Seldon's touchdown was the first of the season. That adds another name to this talented group of skill players for the Hokies. For the last 2 players, let's head back to the defensive side, and more specifically, the linebacker group, who has had struggles to start this year. First, it's Caleb Spencer, in his second year of the Hokies. Spencer brought a live juice to the defense in his second start this season with multiple tackles, one of them being a key tackle on 4th down early in the second quarter, bringing down Hollywood Smothers, who had been their best running back in the ACC this season. Last, but most definitely not least, is linebacker Noah Chambers. True freshman Noah Chambers, might I add, making his college debut. With the roster turnover, the Hokies needed to look for younger players to step up, and Noah Chambers was ready for that call, totaling up 7 tackles, with 3 of them coming on his first 3 career plays. That wasn't all for Chambers, as he had a tackle for a loss and his first career sack, all in his debut. Nothing but praise from the coaching staff and fans following his first career game. These players were key in the Virginia Tech win, but it was a total team effort. Kyron Jones had his best game of the season, and don't forget the defense, as they had neutralized NC State's run game with Hollywood Smothers in the backfield, who had been one of the best backs in the nation this season. 2 games down for Philip Montgomery, and they're seeing this team now come together. Expect to see and hear these names more often this season as the Hokies keep trying to build an identity under Montgomery.
Thanks, Cole. Well, Pierce, while we can talk about the Hokies and their impressive win, there are a lot of upsets in the ACC, starting with number 8 Florida State going down against Virginia.
UVA came out hot. Florida State had 2 quick turnovers. UVA turned that into points. It was a back-and-forth battle all night long with a lot of turnovers, a lot of scoring, and a lot of fight. And to top it off, we got a field rush from the UVA fans. It was absolutely electric. I'm not sure exactly how much they got fined, but it's going to run their pockets real deep.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the field rushes of all time. They're going to get fined, but they're going to remember that moment forever. You got the hill behind the end zone that allows you as soon as, like, literally this much as once the game is over, they got onto the field. I heard it's $1 a person. Who knows what's true, but absolutely incredible for Virginia to pull that one off. And another game in the ACC, not an upset that happened, one that came close. Georgia Tech survived against Wake Forest.
Wake Forest showed that they can compete with anyone in the ACC, and Georgia Tech looks like they can be stopped in certain aspects. But it was a back-and-forth game, an overtime thriller, and it was a fun one to watch.
Yeah, it was a fun one to watch. Well, the Hokies play Wake Forest on homecoming weekend, followed by Georgia Tech. So let's get into the highlights of these 2 teams.
We start early in the second quarter where Robbie Ashburn fakes the handoff and takes it himself into the end zone.
Yeah, barreled that one through. Was almost short, but his legs have too much power against the Yellow Jackets.
A great start after a turnover on downs from Georgia Tech. Wake Forest comes back, and that's Desmond Claiborne taking it into a 14-3 lead.
This running back room for Wake Forest is deep and very good.
But here comes Georgia Tech in the second half. Look at the protection for Haynes King. Haynes King finds in the back of the end zone his receiver and a wide open touchdown. A flag on the play, but the call stands on the field.
A beautiful pass from Haynes King. A sleeper Heisman candidate, in my opinion, Pierce.
Don't look now, but Haynes King takes it himself to make it a 1-score game, 17-20 late in the third quarter. But just before the end of the fourth, Georgia Tech comes out on top and ties the ball game. Here comes overtime. Haynes King, who else do you want with the ball? He runs it right up the gap and hits a touchdown to take an early lead. Now it's Wake Forest's turn, and it's Claiborne again. He makes a man miss. He goes all the way down 25 yards, dives to the end zone, touchdown, Wake Forest.
And what you notice on this play is the injury to Claiborne.
A big call for Wake Forest to go for 2. And the win, Ashford Can't find anybody open, throws it in desperation, and it's picked off. Georgia Tech takes the win 30-29 in overtime.
Well, another tightly contested ACC game. The Yellow Jackets not able to pull off that upset, but looking at Wake Forest, that's a team Virginia Tech has this Saturday.
It's homecoming, and it's time to learn more about the history of it. Here's our very own Robbie Ackerley. Robbie?
Homecoming is a word that's synonymous with just about every high school across America. The dance, the king and the queen, the parade. All right. I'm done reminiscing. It's no secret how big homecoming is in high school. But in college, homecoming may just seem like any other weekend. Here in Blacksburg, I assure you it's not. Since 1926, Virginia Tech has celebrated homecoming in a weekend filled with tradition, fun, and of course football. Over the years, it's become one of the most anticipated weekends on campus. But it's more than just a football game. It's cadets running around with the game ball all week. It's alumni flooding back into Lane Stadium. It's the Hokie faithful filling every seat, and it's a sea of maroon, or in this weekend's case, orange, stretching all the way from Main Street to Beamer Way. This Saturday, the 2-3 Hokies welcome a familiar foe, the 2-2 Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Now, Wake Forest is certainly no stranger to being Blacksburg's homecoming queen, as Saturday's matchup will be the 5th time the Deacs have gone north for Tech's homecoming weekend. Now, in the 4 times the Hokies have hosted Wake Forest for homecoming, Virginia Tech has won each and every matchup. Most recently, it was homecoming 2023. In that one, it was a familiar face still at the helm. Then sophomore quarterback Kyron Drones got the start and proceeded to have arguably his best game to date in a Hokie uniform. Number 1 completed 20 of his 29 passes for a career high that still stands 321 yards, while tossing 2 touchdowns and adding over 50 yards on the ground as well, en route to a 30-13 Hokies victory. It seems Virginia Tech schedules Wake Forest for a reason on this special weekend, as entering their 5th homecoming contest, no other ACC opponent has been asked to be the Hokies' homecoming date that many times. It's going to be a sea of orange throughout Lane Stadium on Saturday in what is sure to be yet another exciting interconference clash. For Virginia Tech, a win will mark yet another triumph over Wake Forest on their celebratory weekend and will put the Hokies back on track at 3-3. But for Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons not only have a chance to crash the party and end Tech's 2-game win streak, but they finally have the opportunity to get one over on the Hokies during their big weekend.
Thanks, Robbie. There's been a lot of shakeup, Taylor, in the AP Top 25. What have you seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, what I noticed right away, Ohio State won, Oregon 2. Oregon got that huge win at Penn State in the whiteout, did not faze them. You got 2 Big Ten teams sitting in the top 2 spots. You can't overlook that.
Don't forget about UVA's big win against Florida State. Now there's 4 ACC teams in the top 25.
Well, it's good that you brought that up, Pierce, because we're going to look a little bit more into Virginia Tech's remaining schedule with all 4 of those ACC teams in it. With more on that, here's Anya Donapaneni.
College football season heats up. Virginia Tech's path to bowl eligibility becomes clearer and more challenging. Sitting at 2-3, the Hokies face a series of critical matchups that will define their season. Let's break down the road ahead. The Demon Deacons, under the new head coach Jake Dickert, have been resilient this season. Quarterback Robbie Ashford has thrown for 916 yards and rushed for 211 yards. Running back Demond Claiborne powers the running game, providing consistency and big play potential, while wide receiver Chris Barnes has emerged as a reliable target. On defense, linebacker Dylan Hazen anchors the middle, and linemen Langston Hardy and Jaden Loving bring pressure up front. That balance makes Wake a dangerous matchup. Next on the schedule is Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets have emerged as a powerhouse this season, boasting an undefeated record and averaging 35 points per game. Quarterback Haynes King has been exceptional, combining for 1,138 yards. His dual threat capability makes Georgia Tech's offense potent. The Hokies' defense will need to contain King to have a chance in this matchup. After that, it's Cal. The Golden Bears aren't ranked, but they've proven they can hang around. Cal can turn turnovers and breakdowns into points, making this a dangerous trap game if Tech looks ahead. The toughest test, however, may be Louisville. Quarterback Miller Moss leads an offense averaging 38.3 points per game. Louisville's highest scoring attack will test Virginia Tech's defense, so the Hokies must execute flawlessly to compete. After the Cardinals, the Hokies have back-to-back high-profile matchups. Florida State is inconsistent but dangerous. Quarterback Tommy Castellanos has thrown for 848 yards, with Deuce Robinson leading the receivers at 346 yards. and their defense is anchored by safety Earl Little Jr. with 28 tackles. Miami's offense is rolling behind Carson Beck, who's thrown for 972 yards. He dropped 340 yards and 3 touchdowns in their win over South Florida, connecting on 23 of 28 throws. With that aerial firepower and the defense of 11.5 points per game, Miami is a serious measuring stick. For Tech, this game is a chance to silence doubters and prove they can hang with the ACC's best. The season concludes with the Commonwealth Clash in Charlottesville. Quarterback Chandler Morris has thrown for 1,279 yards. Running back Jamari Taylor has been effective on the ground with 397 rushing yards. Wide receiver Trell Harris leads with 366 receiving yards. Rivalry games are always unpredictable, especially after the Florida upset, and this one could be a decider for bowl eligibility. The Hokies will need to bring their best to close out the season on a high note. So, the formula is simple. Win the games that are winnable, compete with the ranked ones, and Virginia Tech can turn its season around. The coming weeks will reveal whether the Hokies are ready to rise.
Well, Pierce, we can look ahead at Virginia Tech's schedule, but we have to focus on this Saturday. Wake Forest coming into town, homecoming, orange out. I'm going to need your score prediction for the Hokies.
Orange out, Hokies win. How about that? I think the Hokies take it 35-33, a high-scoring matchup. It's going to be fun. Now, what do you think?
I think I got 27-21. I'm most interested to see how that run game holds up. I mean, Terrion Stewart, 15 carries, 174 yards. That's impressive. That's not normal. He probably won't do that again, and that's not even anything towards him. That's just out of this world behavior from him on the field. So it'll be interesting to see how you balance him, how you balance Hawkins, if Drones gets a little bit more involved. But feels like the Hokies have all of these weapons that they can prioritize against the Demon Deacons.
There's going to be a lot of running the ball this weekend at homecoming. Well, that's all we have for this edition of the 3304 Sports Kickoff Show. A huge thanks to our reporters Cole Jackson-Page, Robbie Ackley, and Anna Donapanini. For my co-host Taylor Bretl, I'm Pearce Mcknight, and we'll see you next week on 3304 Sports.